Let's start with power. Regardless of how you feel about Tesla, you say, oh, they're just a car company. They are a major player in the electric market. There's a couple things that are absolutely undeniable to look at. And the fact is they've got products in the market. When you look at electric vehicles and they start getting compared to Volkswagen and GM and companies like that, what you got to remember is in 2020, Tesla made almost 500,000 cars. That's not an entrepreneur making 2 cars and saying he's going to conquer the world. And never mind that there's a lot of subsidies still on cars. That's very, very true, but it's true for everybody making an electric vehicle. If it wasn't for government subsidies, those vehicles would be more expensive for you and me. What's undeniable, though, is that while it's only 5 to 6% of Tesla, power is a very big deal. In that 2017 case study, I said that if you look at what is obvious, sometimes you miss what is big hiding in the background. And I happen to think that the Tesla power play is pretty big. And I want to dive into it a little bit. First of all, even though, as I said, energy is only 5% of revenue, it is a much larger percent of awareness when you step back and you look at Tesla as a whole. And there's one area of energy I want to take a look at. It's the house, and then the second area I'll take a look at is the charging of the cars themselves. Well, you've got solar roofs. Tesla now makes a solar roof. It looks like a regular roof. It doesn't look like familiar solar panels sitting on the roof. It looks like a regular roof. It's got a nice design to it. It's a little shinier, and there are some noticeable differences you can see, but if you had never seen that house, you might drive right by not noticing and realizing that that's a Tesla solar roof. Now, the roofs are very expensive still, but the Gigafactory in New York in 2020 really kicked into gear and announced that by the end of the year, they were going to be in the millions of house shingle type panels per year. That's significant. So whether you say, oh, it's too expensive, it's a gimmick, Elon doesn't know what he's doing, well, he's in production, it's at a factory, and it's being installed. Yes, there's teething pains on the roof products in that it sometimes takes 4 weeks to do a whole house, and if you call regular roofers, you can get a roof done in 3-4 days. True, but when you take a look at the efficiency and what it brings to the environment, it's a very good thing, and people that can afford these roofs are putting them on. Then there's the Tesla Powerwall, which is basically a humongous battery that sits on the wall of your garage and kind of stores energy that might be coming in from the grid or from your solar roof, which balances the energy usage. Now, those are a little expensive for you and me on our homes, and you're not going to find them on apartment buildings anytime soon, but it shows that Tesla is making a huge difference in how we can store battery power. And by the way, all this research on solar and battery technology, you know where it ends up? It ends up in the car. This is an application of Tesla's learning. Now, there's something there that Elon does when he talks about products that I think is a pretty cool lesson here to talk about. Once a year, speaking of power, they do what's called Battery Day. And when they do Battery Day, Elon Musk will drop words about, oh, well, you know, I think we'll be 20 million units a year in vehicles someday. And people say, 20 million units, that's more than Ford and GM make together 2 years ago or something. But these are things that are talking about his vision. And I think from an entrepreneurial standpoint, it's pretty smart because he's setting his vision, his people, his employees, his team are seeing that and they understand where they're going, and that the boss is saying, like John F. Kennedy said, by the end of the decade, we're going to put a man on the moon. We don't have a rocket to do it yet. We don't have a capsule to do it. We don't have a device, a lunar module to land on the moon yet, but we're going to get together with everybody and we're going to design those things and we're going to get there. That is what Elon Musk does. And people miss the fact when they look at the short term and say, oh, Musk, he just made some big comment about something he's going to invent. Who knows if it's ever going to get there. These are vision-setting statements. Now, I'll warn you about something. There was a vision-setting statement that he made in 2017 about the Tesla Roadster. The Tesla Roadster was a great car. It was actually the first car that they made. And one of the first serial numbers belonged to Elon Musk, and I'll give you 3 seconds to tell me where that car is right now. If you said orbiting Mars, you're correct. He stuck it in one of his Falcon rockets, shot it up, and you may remember Starman was an astronaut dummy that was put into the car, bolted in place, and is up there orbiting Mars. So when you got billions and billions of dollars, you can take your first car and say, what do I do with my first car? Give it to my brother? No, I'm going to shoot it into space. So this is just Musk being Musk. When you separate that out from what he's talked about, you'll understand how he plays product games that I'm talking about with his announcements, specifically with Roadster. And by the way, for those of you that don't know it, these are the abbreviations for all of his cars, and it spells sexier. Model S, Model 3, Model X, Model Y, Model R, sexier. And the R is for Roadster. And he announced a car that would go 0 to 60 in 2.1 seconds or something, and would have a 600-mile range and have a top speed of 200 miles an hour. He said that in 2017. The Roadster will be out next year, 2021, and guess what? It's going to achieve those specs. And yet at the time, 2017, people say, he's not going to be able to do that. No electric car can do that at all. That's crazy to talk about it. Well, he set the vision, and he's going to pull it off. And it may be a $200,000 car that is beautifully designed, if you've seen the images of it, but that's the flagship of the brand. That is the flagship of the car brand. And he also set a vision that they pulled off. So the first lesson that I like is how he leads specifically. He sets specifics out there of where they're going, even if it's going to be a big walk up the hill to get there.